the commission.
Goldfinger Visions in the building. We're
Right,
here
right.
with our special guest, DJ Your Honor. Yeah, we appreciate you coming up for sure, man. Definitely. It's definitely good to get in tune and just, tap into the right environment.
So we want to shout out our sponsors, New Extra Salute, shout out administrator of the room, CHC, Tyree, the developer, and our moderators. Thank you all for tuning in with us today. This is a very special episode, so dear to me because I am a DJ as well. And we will be speaking to a fellow DJ who actually has a double DJ life. He DJs in the parties and he DJs for our New York Freedom Rally, our fighters here in NYC. So we will get into it. Would you like to start it off, DJ Your Honor?
So I was my dad's paralegal for quite a few years now, and or I've been his paralegal for quite a few years now, on and off. And initially, I gave up law to go into music. I'll tell you how that came up. So I used to go to like house parties and stuff like that. My friend Fernando, he had a house party, one year, just like 2012 or something like that. This is after our softball games, and what he would do is that they would just put up a YouTube mix. You know how when YouTube you just put like a song or whatever, and then it goes to a song, then a commercial, then a song recommended, then another commercial and whatnot. That's what we used to do back then. So I was like, yo, just give me the aux cord. So I had my iPad on me at the time, and I used my DJ software on the iPad to actually DJ a little house party with everybody there. And it was kind of like my Sunday ritual, for a few weeks. And everybody was just loving it, having a good time and all of that. My boy Abel, who introduced me to everybody in that group, he pulled me aside and he's like, dude, you should be doing this full time. And I'm like, listen, I don't know. I'm kind of, committed to law, and this is kind of the arena that I want to be in. So he sends me a meme from Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street. And the meme said, the only thing standing between you and your goal is the BS story you keep telling yourself as to why you can't achieve it. I'm looking at it and I'm like, this mother effer. So a month later, got my first residency at a place called Cornerstone on 51st and 2nd. Shout out to Cornerstone, by the way. They've given me so much love over the years, and they gave me my start. Without them, I don't think I'd be on the path that I am today. So, I had my first residency with them. 2 months later, a place called Bar 515 was shut down a couple of years later. And it's been up and down in the DJ game because it's not easy making a living doing this and only this, And I've been back and forth between New York and LA a lot, living wise, and lately Chicago too. But I gotta say, like, this is it's my biggest passion. Like, there's no bigger high than seeing everybody go nuts to the music that you're playing, and I'm humbled. I really am. It's incredible to see something along those lines. So I get so much fulfillment out of it, and I don't think I could ever give that up for a 9 to 5. Like it just wasn't like, it's not something that I could see myself ever doing. Just giving up the music to go into something completely different. But it's the name DJ Your Honor comes from my past law career, and it's kind of paying tribute or homage to my roots and where I came from. My dad, who's actually the attorney for the Freedom Rally, Gustavo Medina Esquire. He had been working with for quite some time, and
To him.
trespassing and whatnot. So he's so that way I wouldn't disappoint them. I guess I took the name DJ Your Honor, so it could be like, hey, kind of followed my path. But I'm very, very grateful to be where I am right now, and honestly, all the lessons that I've learned along the way, all the people that I've met, no way it would be possible without me taking this step. So for better or worse, here I am right now, and again, I'm probably the after all the cases that have happened in New York. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the arrest for trespassing, which is really arrest for being unvaccinated, right? I feel like right now, after seeing all the cases that have taken place, I'm probably the only fair judge left in New York City right now.
It's amazing. Like, oh my gosh.
What's amazing is being able to, be here with you guys and, even just having these discussions, being able to, bring this to the attention of those who quote unquote run the city. Like there's a lot of weight that's carried there and not everybody has the gumption to, to take that on. And even us having this discussion can help make a difference for our audience here. So shout out to you guys and thank you for making this happen.
No doubt. Thank you again, because this is why we honestly got the fire from you all to speak up. And we started this during the pandemic, and we had like special artists come up, but it wasn't so serious. Like as it got serious, we decided to showcase and shine light on you all, the fighters, and everyone who's actually raising the positive frequency, and bringing some light towards what's happening, and just try to give some encouragement and discuss solutions on how we can make it better, basically, for our generation, those who are younger than us. They're running this room, and we want it to be like a historical text they could look back on so they could see how and why they still have their rights. So I'm thank you so much for taking your time out to do what you do, and shout out to your dad, because he's making strides, and really making strides in New York City.
I can only hope that we continue up this good fight because this is definitely is not going to be easy. But I'll tell you what, I'm grateful to be a part of it, and it's one of the reasons why I jumped back into the law ring to to help out on that regard, because this cause is worth it. Without if we don't fight for this, my music career is over, because there's just no way I'm going to get vaccinated. I mean, religious differences aside, medical differences aside, I thought we were a country that believed in my body, my choice, right? So if it's my body, my choice, I mean, this is my body and it's my choice not to, put something in me that I don't want to put in me.
Like, as far as your music career, the chapter isn't closed. The doors are just beginning to open because you're doing God's work.
Oh no, of course, and I'm grateful for that. All I'm saying is that I'm not closing the chapter on my music career at all. Like, I feel like this is I feel like it takes 10 years to make an overnight celebrity, and right now I'm on year 9. But what I am saying is that if I don't take the time to to fight this tyranny and to fight against the powers that be that say take this or else, then there's not going to be a music career for me to go back to. I mean, I'll be honest. When the mandates kicked in last September, I found a hard time having gigs. Forget during the pandemic. It was almost worse when the mandates kicked in, because I could understand during the pandemic nobody was open, right? Whatever, like it's completely understandable. But then during the mandates, where I wasn't getting honored for my for my medical exemption, and here's the crazy thing: I don't know if you guys know this. There was a non-residential artist exception built into into Executive Order 225. So if you lived outside of New York City, forget New York State, if you lived outside of New York City, which could be Westchester, which could be Long Island, whatever, as long as you lived outside of New York City, you qualified for that non-residential artist exemption. And there were clubs that would not let me perform despite having that. For all intents and purposes, I moved to Long Island, right? So that makes me no longer a resident of New York City, so to speak. So I had my Long Island credentials, where I lived at, this, that, and the third, and I showed that to the clubs, and I showed the executive order, and these places still wouldn't let me perform because they were afraid of the legal repercussions, or what? Maybe they weren't afraid of the legal repercussions. I don't know. Maybe they just really wanted me to get the vaccine. I can't elaborate on what they were thinking. I can only tell you what happened. What happened is I was denied performing despite having proof that I could perform legally. I don't need to continue DJing for you guys. And I'll name the spots. It was LLST Group, 48 Lounge, and Ascent. And they were two of my favorite clubs to actually DJ at in the city. Like 48 Lounge used to get lit. It used to be an amazing, amazing time. Drinks were always amazing, spectacular. The hospitality was incredible. But I've noticed ever since I left, little by little, people started leaving too. I've always wondered why that is, but I think it's and not to say that it's a direct result of me leaving, because I don't think that much of myself that that's the case. But look, I mean, karma's real, and I think that I think that the karma of them forcing me to be vaccinated or not perform is coming back around, and I hope that other venues and other promoters and event coordinators see that and don't try to pull this off again. And the thing is, a lot of people did this by fear, so I can understand that. But what I can't understand is continuing to mandate this. Like, there are spots in New York City right now that are continuing to mandate that you have a vaccine in order for you to dine in. What kind of BS is that? What kind of bigotry is that you are discriminating against someone for not having something in their skin? It's like back in the 60s or 70s where people where people denied you from having a basic cheeseburger just because of the melanin component of your skin. I mean, that should not matter when it comes to whether you can enjoy certain things of life or not. Look, we have our God-given rights. We have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that includes eating in a spot without having a vaccine, and that includes eating in a spot without having to worry about whether I'm white, black, yellow, whatever. It should never come down to that. What should matter is what's running through my veins, and that's the color red, my red blood. That's the only thing that should matter. Am I human? Yes. Can I pay? Yes. Those are the only two. Those are the only two factors that should matter in terms of whether you can serve me or not. The only two. But unfortunately, people have lost sight on that. So it's one of the reasons why I'll bring attention to the spots that keep forcing the issue of mandating a vaccine in order to dine in.
Yeah, that's crazy. I was shocked that they was mandating DJs because I was pregnant at the time, and I'm like, okay, so the only places that were actually requesting me was in Long Island. So I thought it was go good in Long Island. So I said, let me just stay out here. And I saw the difference. It's like you could just walk across the border and you're in New York again, or Queens, or whatever, the borderline between Long Island and Queens, and it's like everything is different. And then towards Manhattan, that borderline, you cross over and it's like, all right, you're back in jail. It's like, okay, what's the purpose of, this is unlawful, and businesses was actually going along because they lost so many customers, and especially due to the DJ not being, there. A lot of my customers left too as well. So I totally can relate to that, because it just made no sense. It was like, why do I have to move all of my crowd to a whole nother city, state, borough, whatever? You know what I'm saying? To have fun. And that's basically what I had to do. So I relate to you with that, on that point. And it's just crazy that anybody would continue to do this, because it does feel like history is repeating again, and it's like a different kind of segregation. It's really good, God versus evil, right? God versus the devil. So that's what we do. We're finally seeing it for what it really is. It's like getting closer and closer and closer to the end, whatever. But we're finally seeing it for what it is. It's a spiritual battle. That's always what it's been. It's just they try to scapegoat it as a color thing or a race thing, or it's really we're one race, human race. Okay, we're fighting demonic powers, demonic entities. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is that no matter how big these demonic powers and entities may become, we can't really give up the fight, can we? Because otherwise, what else do we have left? Even if it's a losing battle in the eyes of most. I mean, I would rather get killed standing than die begging for my life on my knees.
Right.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. You said it's a losing battle, right? I mean, well, you said that people proclaim that it's a losing battle. And
Yeah.
that's the mindset that has us where we are.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the beginning, you know, saying people like governors and stuff like that, they have to address this situation in a matter of asking for permission. Underliningly, for every little process and every little step they take, they have to ask for permission. COVID-19 mandates began with staying inside for 2 weeks. It all started from 2 weeks, and then they had to go to 15 days. Then they had to go to a month. Then they had to go to 6 months. Every time they did something, we accepted it. Well, not all of us, not we, of course. We're not talking about the people that's not with the nonsense, but the majority accepted all of these regulations out of whether it was out of fear or whether it was out of, oh, you know, we're fine with being controlled, we're fine with the government, whatever they say goes and stuff like that. Some people have that attitude, but it being a losing battle is it's just a mental thing, really, because really, where do they get the power from? They get the power from us agreeing with their power. They get the power from
Mm-hmm.
us saying, "Oh, this is what you want. Okay, here you go." Because y'all the ones that have the money and y'all have the promotion. That's what y'all got. They got money and promotion. Then we giving them our spiritual power, which is our freedom.
Yeah, and our energy. Absolutely.
Right, and our energy.
100%. You hit it right on the head. Because at the end of the day, you know, we give consent to be governed. And we, as a collective of society, gave the consent to go into lockdown. It's crazy that it even came to this point, you know? I really wish
Right.
that I was living in Florida at the time, because Florida opened up so quickly. Like, no issues whatsoever. It was much easier to be in Florida than it was to be in New York. Like, I remember, you know, over July 4th during the pandemic, we went to Lake George just to get away, just to have a nice getaway at an upstate cabin. It was a group of us, you know, a small intimate group or whatever, and we traveled out there. It was like a completely different world. Everybody was outside. Everybody was able to dine in. Granted, they still had the 6 feet of separation at tables or whatever. But you know how much of a relief it felt to actually sit down and eat inside of a restaurant? Like, I can't believe I actually felt relieved to be able to do that. It was the
That's
weirdest.
crazy.
It's weird that I found relief in that. Some of the things that we took for granted during before the pandemic, you know, going out to eat at a spot or whatever it is. The thing is, you look back and it's like you appreciate life so much more. And I'm looking back and I'm like, there is no way I am ever going to consent to a lockdown again. Ever. I don't care what kind of disease there is out there. You let anybody take their chances, and then you go from there. If society wants, if people want to take that chance, you let them take that chance. That's what it comes down to. That's the approach that it should have been in the first place itself. You know, because
Right.
who got hit? Who got hit the hardest during COVID? Everybody in hospitality, everybody with person to person facing, with person to person facing jobs. You know, the hardest hit was definitely, DJs,
Small business.
hotels,
Yeah.
uh, you know, restaurants, any business that had people congregating within, all the conventions done, all the festivals done, everything where you had to meet up with a person completely done. There's just no way that you can have that kind of crazy environment with that with while having some sort of like 6 foot separation. It's impossible. Not in our industry anyway. But what's even
Yeah.
crazier is just the lockdowns that came. I'm sorry, the mandates that came afterwards, despite science telling us, the actual science, not the bullshit science. You know what I mean? But despite the actual science telling us that the disease is mutating into something that is much less lethal, even though it's much more contagious. So yeah, it's contagious, but it's less lethal. It's like the common cold at this point. Like, I don't know if you guys
Right.
know this, but the emergency order regarding COVID has been lifted in New York State. But there's an emergency order in now for polio. So go figure.
Right.
Right. They just keep trying the next one, the next one. That's why they in court now and being they paying for what they doing right now. I'm so happy that Senator Ron Paul is getting in Fauci's ass right now. So I'm happy that we're seeing that the aftermath of what really happened. We allowed some people with money, basically, and high positions that they put themselves in, and we allowed them to take control over something that they created, that they came up with, that they patented years ahead of this whole thing, and already had it planned. Like, okay, now we're going to start depopulating by this year, such and such time, and we're going to roll out 18 diseases at once, and then we're going to just we're going to give you the solution to the problem, and then boom, we'll be fine. Like, why would you think on God's green earth that you will be fine doing such crimes to humanity? Like, it doesn't make sense. Money, there's no amount of money that can make you do such evil.
No, there is.
I
There
mean,
is.
I'm speaking from, a God's child
Or
view,
from a God fearing perspective, I get you.
because I do not associate myself to say, well, I don't believe in God. So those people who don't believe, they think, oh, money, that's money, the money's gonna get me. You're thinking about physical 3D materialistic things to get you by, and you forget your creator. Your creator is the one who's controlling you and creating all this for you, and you decide to go with evil, or what have you, maybe uneducated, or you may grew up in that situation and you just don't know any better, whatever it is.